Good evening and warmest welcome and NSBE greetings to our attendees joining us tonight for NSBE's Healthcare Innovation Group Pre-Convention Primer webinar featuring AstraZeneca. My name is John Thomas and I am the founding director of NSBE's Healthcare Innovation Group. I'm a mechanical and materials engineer by training and a biomedical engineer by advanced degree. If I draw your attention to your screen, there's a few housekeeping items we'd like to share, including that the leadership team and the panelists request that you mute audio and have your cameras turned off during this presentation. Only the hosts and panelists and the presentation will be on screen. Do feel free to use the chat feature for interactive conversation or to alert us of any tech issues you may be experiencing. Feel free to use the question and answer chat window to have your questions answered by AstraZeneca. Post them anytime. Questions will be answered at the end. Most importantly, be open-minded, have fun, and have your questions ready. As a quick glimpse into what you can look forward to enjoying today, you should be able to see our agenda for the evening, where we will start off with introductions, and I will share a little bit about the SIG story within the National Society of Black Engineers, followed by an invitation to the Executive Director, Dolu Obatasin, to share his welcome remarks and introduce his leadership team, as we then segue to the AstraZeneca team led by former SIG Director Arthur Edge, and then continuing on to a networking session after the panel discussion and closing remarks. The Healthcare Innovation Special Interest Group is really ushered by three key efforts, and our mission is to really promote the development and implementation of innovations that will improve diagnosis, treatment, and prevention of injury, illness, and disease. How do we accomplish this mission? We do that having a strong vision to be the most trusted ecosystem for technical expertise and solutions to complex healthcare problems impacting the Black and Brown communities. We deliver on these pieces of our mission and vision through partnering with healthcare corporations like AstraZeneca to drive employee engagement, technology innovation, talent access, and thought leadership. The vision and mission are accomplished by what we have defined in 2017 as our CARE strategy, where CARE is an acronym for connecting, advancing, recruiting and retaining, and educating and exposing. Connecting our members is important within the strategy as we make effort to, very similar to tonight's presentation, connect to professionals in academia, government, and industry for the purposes of mentorship, development, and career opportunities. The A in the CARE strategy is advancing healthcare innovations through our research, development, and commercialization efforts. The R we really see going into the NSBE National Convention in Kansas through our efforts to partner with market-leading healthcare corporations to recruit and retain NSBE membership across the collegiate and experienced professionals interested in careers in healthcare and healthcare innovation. Finally, the educate and expose components we execute across those membership verticals to really address healthcare disparities and showcase innovations while supporting the development of careers. With that, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Director Dolu Obatasin to introduce himself as well as his leadership team. Dolu, thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So, John mentioned my name is Dolu Obatasin, and I serve as the Executive Director for the NSBE Healthcare Innovation Special Interest Group. I'm pretty excited for, the event that we're having tonight, bringing our members to the SIG, to hear and learn about opportunities that AstraZeneca has and all the awesome healthcare innovation that's been happening at AstraZeneca. Like many of you, my NSBE journey actually started back as a freshman, as an undergraduate. And what really attracted me to NSBE was its mission, to increase the number of culturally responsible Black engineers who excel academically, succeed professionally, and positively impact the community. So this is what we essentially do as a group, ISIG. So fast forward, many years, I transitioned into the professional life, and I wanted to also continue to be a part of the society, to be a part of a professional community, right? And continue to expand my horizons as a biomedical engineer. And that's, how I learned about HiSig and, being a group within the Society for Engineers interested in healthcare innovation. And since joining HiSig, I've served as the programs chair, helping to develop and coordinate events in collaboration with our corporate partners and sponsors and academic partners. And last year, I transitioned into the executive director role. And in this role, I'm responsible for developing the team and carrying forward the NSBE HiSig mission and vision, as John has shared with you. So it is my pleasure to, introduce my team, as you can see here in this slide. I just really enjoy working alongside this amazing and talented team. Um, Everyone that you see here has contributed in one way or another to bringing this event to you tonight and other similar events that we've had in the past and we'll be having, later on this year. So we'll talk more about that a little bit later. Um, what I'd like for you to, oh, Okay. Yeah, what I'd like for you to essentially take away from this experience is to have an expectation, right? To learn about what's happening around you, in the sciences and biopharmaceutical industry, and to connect with one another, and more importantly, connect with the team that's, giving their time to speak to us today. So with that, it is an honor to introduce my predecessor, Arthur Edge, and one of the key members of the AstraZeneca team.
Hey, good evening, everybody. How's it going? I'm really, really excited to see everyone, to connect. I am Arthur Edge and a fellow NSBE member, but also a really, really proud employee at AstraZeneca. And I've been looking at everyone's registration information for today. Over 130 people registered. You've submitted over 80 questions. So I know that you have questions. Hopefully you remember all of those and we'll have a lot of time to discuss them later. And I know that a number of you are both interested in career opportunities and a number of individuals will be joining us at NSBE 49 in Kansas City. So a number of us on the call here will be there as well. So we look forward to engaging. But first, I just want to jump in and give you a little bit of background. As mentioned, we're going to have a panel discussion and you'll get an opportunity to meet a number of the employees who are on their call and ready to engage. But before we get into that, just want to share a little bit more about myself and what we'll cover today. So at AstraZeneca, I'm a global supply and strategy director. I've been at the company 3 years now, and it's been a phenomenal experience. But what does it really mean to be a strategy director for supply chain? Essentially, I look at making a 10-year plan so that patients can have the medicines that they need now and in the future over a 10-year period. And a couple of fun facts about me. I do have a happy place. Anyone who's had the opportunity to meet or engage with me on the dance floor knows that I like to swing dance and salsa dance. And then one more fun fact is related to cinema and the movie space. My favorite movie is by far Jurassic Park. I know all of the words to all of the movies in the franchise. And even with all the science fact checking and debunking, I still think that, yep, this could happen. So it's probably not a surprise that I found myself working in healthcare and biotech innovations. So a little preview about what we're going to cover today. Going to give a little bit of background about AstraZeneca, who we are, our journey as a company. And then again, I mentioned we'll have time for the panel. We'll talk a little bit about how you can engage with us at the NSBE convention if you plan to go. And hopefully everyone does. It's still not too late to register. And then we'll close out with a couple of announcements and really invite you, if you are really interested, to join the AstraZeneca family. So what's been our journey to date? You know, like most companies, we do planning in significant increments, like 5-year periods of time. And for this current 5-year period, we've been focusing on hitting targets for 2025. We call it our growth through innovation strategy for 2025. And we're almost to that period, and we've been thinking about the next 5, if you will, for 2030, and what we want our story to be and who we want to be right in the future. And we've developed a film that really brings that to life. It's focusing on, pioneering science. It's focusing on different therapy areas where we develop medicines. It talks about and spotlights data, technology, innovations, and use of artificial intelligence. And finally, a little bit about sustainability and how we apply that inside and outside of our company. And so as you think about watching the film, I just want you to come up with kind of the one word that comes to mind and post that in the chat right when it comes to the front of your mind, just to get your first impressions as we do this reveal to NSBE. And so I talked about all these components, but it's really about us telling this story about AstraZeneca and what science can do. So I'm happy to roll the film for you. I hope you all enjoyed that small cinematic production. I'm looking at the words coming in the chat. I see power, innovation, bold, journey, innovation again, challenge, patient-centered, love that, novelty, hope. Yeah, there's a lot of hope and inspiration that comes from the video, possibility, and change. I think for me, change is really the one that resonates because today we have, problems that are new that we've never seen before in the industry. And it's going to require us to change in order to be able to address those. And, just maybe a comment about, right, the video and our purpose. And in a moment, I'll talk about our bold ambition. Just want to say that, the video and its ideation and the themes there have really been employee-led. There's a lot of employee feedback that's gone into shaping the final production that you see here. And as a company, right, we are a global science-led, patient-focused biopharmaceutical organization. And our purpose is to push the boundaries of science to do what we've been built to do, and that's to develop life-saving medicines. And so hopefully that came through in the vision. And that manifests for us in what we call a bold ambition. And I think you also saw this in the video. That is about being pioneers in science, really industry leading in the disease areas to make an impact for patients. And by 2030, we were putting some stakes in the ground. And this is kind of unheard of from an industry perspective. I mean, for a company to launch, 1 or 2 medicines in a year is a big deal. We have an ambition, from now to 2030 to launch 20 new medicines. So you can do the math in terms of, what that pace looks like and think about, right, all the talent we're going to need to drive that forward. And to drive that forward, we do have a plan. We try and keep it very simple. You see 3 focus areas here, each with kind of 3 sub bullets. And our strategy continues to be growth through innovation toward 2030. And it all starts with science. We got to have a strong pipeline and really disruptive platforms. We talk about, diseases that present new challenges that we haven't seen before. So we need new platforms and medicines to attack that. We want to be the leaders in the different therapy areas, and that's going to require us to be um, thought leaders, right, in our clinical trials, but also in our understanding of diseases. And last but not least, it's built upon people and sustainability, making it a great place to work at AZ and really having a strategy to bring in the right people with the right talents, and then to even train and retrain our talent in the company to attack those new problems while we make impact outside in our local and global communities. So that's a little bit of backdrop, right? High level, 30,000 foot view of who we are. But I want to transition to one of my dear team members and colleagues, John Kaufman, to peel the layers of the onion back a little bit and show you what that looks like and some of the things we work on a daily basis. Welcome, John.
All right. Thanks very much, Arthur. I hope you can hear me okay. Yep, good. So my name's John Kaufman. I've been at AstraZeneca for 4 years. Many of you, like me, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, go, Astra who? Who's AstraZeneca? But I am really proud to work here. It's one of the best places I've worked in my entire 30-year career. And I think, I hope we get to show you that here. I invent and implement new ways of manufacturing protein-based drugs, mostly antibodies and antibody-like proteins. You may have heard of Evusheld, which is one of the antibody drugs that we made for COVID for people who couldn't take our vaccine, another drug that my team worked on, among many, many other people. My happy place is in the mountains. I love being in the mountains, in the woods, hiking. I'd be there right now if I could. One of the things people don't know about me, and I really didn't know it either, I've lived in about 1/4 of the United States, 1/4 of the states of the United States. And I had to count it up for this particular meeting today. I was like, holy cow, I was born in Arizona, moved to Idaho, went to all these different places, and now I live in Maryland and New Jersey. So 14 different states. So that's a lot of different places to live, but that's what I do. Drug development is very difficult. It takes a long time. We started in discovery. I'm in R&D. I'm the D part of that, the development part. But early on, we discover drugs. We then develop it. And engineers, there are engineers in discovery, but the numbers of engineers just keep increasing as the life cycle of the molecule goes on. We in process development start getting involved in preclinical to make the first material that goes into human patients to develop that process. And then there are engineers all the way through this entire process. I'll talk a little bit more about that, but everywhere there's engineers and all sorts of engineers, even civil engineers, when we're building new buildings. We really want to make precision medicine work, and the reason for that is it will work typically very effectively for very select patients. So things like Imfinzi, which is one of our cancer drugs, we test for something in the body called a PD-1. And if it's high in PD-1, this drug is more likely to work. And so we're able to test things and make drugs that are specific for those particular patients. So precision medicine is a very important part of what we do. We're also targeting next generation therapeutics. I mentioned antibodies. If you put a toxin on an antibody, it's kind of like a silver bullet, and it's called an antibody drug conjugate because it's conjugated together. Those are becoming bigger and bigger, and our big drug in HER2 is a revolutionary way of doing antibody drug conjugates. When I grew up reading about science in the 70s, they discovered antibodies or could make monoclonal antibodies, and they talked about the silver bullet. Didn't really happen until the late 90s, and even antibody drug conjugates didn't really happen in a big way until Enhertu. Enhertu is really a revolution in how we're doing antibody drug conjugates. We're also doing a lot in cell therapy, huge numbers of engineers trying to figure out how to grow these cells in gene therapy as well. Nucleotide-based medicines, such as the RNA vaccine, are out there, and we're working on them as well. And there are a lot of engineers working in formulations, and especially in device design. So if you're a mechanical engineer, when you go to a patient, there might be an auto injector or some very fancy piece of equipment or instrument that would go into the patient. Mechanical engineers are heavily involved there. I personally am a chemical engineer, but there are IT people. There are I'm a bio and chemical engineer. There's mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, computer engineers, all the way through this entire process. We have therapy areas. Arthur mentioned that he's in oncology for curing cancer. That's what Enhertu does. There are other areas that we're in as well for non-oncological areas, and cardiovascular, renal, metabolism, respiratory, vaccines, and immune therapeutics. This is a brand new one for us, and it really came out of COVID. Oddly enough, the biotech part that I'm in started in this sort of area where we're trying to do immune therapies. And then AstraZeneca bought us about 15 years ago. Rare diseases, we bought a company called Alexion. So these are for diseases that are so rare. Maybe there's 100 patients, maybe there's just 10 patients. And so these are very difficult to treat because there's so few patients, but there's a lot of engineering that goes involved in all of that. You can guess, I saw someone earlier talk about IT. You can guess there's a lot of data that we have to deal with at all levels, including interfacing with the patients, but as we're developing the drug, as we're doing manufacturing, as we're dealing with clinical trials, tons of information. And we're developing AI tools to figure out how to do new medicines and AI tools on how to figure out how to work with patients in a better way. I think Arthur mentioned this, that one of our bold ambitions is to be carbon neutral. And our president said we're going to be carbon neutral for a sort of a phase 1 in 2025, I think. And we're really serious about that. I'm working on a sustainability program that's part of the 800-person group that I'm in, which is the process development group. But we're tied into a bunch of different sustainability areas inside of AstraZeneca. So pretty exciting. We're working on making everything that we do more sustainable. And then the next phase after 25 is making our vendors more sustainable, and then how their vendors are more sustainable. So it's a really important part of our bold ambition. And we believe sustainability is of environmental sustainability, but also an economic sustainability. In other words, we have to be able to continue doing this forever, and then a sort of a social sustainability. So sustainability has 3 pillars for us. We focus on the value chain from the bench, the chemistry bench or the biological bench, through drug development, which is where I am, manufacturing, where I interface, and supply chain, where Arthur is, to patients. And I think the people here on this call will be someplace in this value chain. We'll be talking about different areas that you can get involved. I think that's it for me.
Awesome. Thanks, John. So I'm going to now transition us into the panel. And so I'll, of course, invite John to stay, but we will follow with a couple of intros, bringing on the AstraZeneca team. And I'll ask for Femi, Larry, and Amani to also join us on camera. And I'll move us forward through a couple of slides so that folks can get to know you. So let's start with Femi. Welcome, Femi.
All right. Thank you, Arthur. And hello, everybody. So my name is Femi Dieti, and I am, I guess, what you call a GM. And I'll talk about that in a moment. So I've been with AstraZeneca now for 12 years. I'm starting to feel like the oldest employee on this call. And before AstraZeneca, I was actually in a couple of different industries. So I am a chemical and bioprocess engineer by training. And I actually started my career out in the specialty chemicals industry. Then I moved into consumer goods, and then I moved into pharmaceuticals. And to be honest with you, that was the best move that I've ever made. So I'm really proud to be part of this industry, and you'll probably learn a bit more about that later. So what do? I lead one of our operations strategic sites. So at my site based in Indiana, we actually manufacture some of our cardiovascular drugs. So we have some big drugs that we make there, and we also manufacture some oncology drugs as well. So it's a site that's very important. It's strategic to our network. And what we do, to be honest with you, if you had to ask me what do I really do, I like to say that I play a part in saving lives. In terms of my happy place, to be honest with you, I know it's a cop-out, but any beach in the Caribbean will do it for me. It's really that simple. I like my sunshine. And then in terms of what's the one thing people don't know about me, so I had a very small part in a movie a very long time ago. The movie flopped, so it wasn't one of the Jurassic Park's movies, unfortunately. But it's a movie that I can't tell you about because some of the actors got caught up in the Me Too thing. So I'm a bit ashamed. So so that's something that I have never shared with anybody. So there you go. I'm sharing it with you guys, and that's me.
Thanks, Femi. Next, Larry. Welcome.
Hello, Arthur, and everyone on the call. I'm Larry Perry, and I am a process engineer working in the manufacturing sciences portion of John's presentation. How long have I been here? So I've been with the company for 23 years, and it was prior another company before we were purchased by AstraZeneca, but I am now part of that team. So 23 years in the making. And what do I do? So really what I'm doing is I'm implementing all the new equipment and technology that is being implemented into our pilot facility in Maryland. And if you remember what John was explaining, that manufacturing piece, that handoff is where I kind of come into play there. And what is my happy place? So I truly and love just being under the water. It's so peaceful. It's calm. It really allowed me to connect spiritually with the universe. And that's my happy place. And what most people don't know about me is that during COVID, when we were all trapped in our homes and really couldn't get out and interact with people, I studied to become a transformational life coach. And that helped me cope with the being in the house with COVID and also not being able to be around people. So I did a year-long course to become a life coach, and it's been transformational for me as well as the clients that I serve. So thank you. And I'll be back later on to talk to you more.
Cool. Well, thanks, Larry. I did not know that about you. And Amani.
My name is Imani. I recently graduated this past May from the University of Delaware with a undergraduate in biomedical engineering and a minor in biomechanics. I'm at the same site as Femi in Indiana. I am a global graduate associate, which is one of our rotational programs for operations. So this first rotation, I'm doing process engineering, and I'm at the plant doing more so process improvement because they wanted a new set of eyes on processes that they already have, since a lot of people on the team have been there for around at least 10 years. My happy place, I definitely like a good starry night in the mountains. That's the place. I wanted to be an astronomer pretty much right up to the point where I chose engineering. So I'm still super into astronomy and I love looking at the stars. And something that people don't know about me is that I'm a women's lacrosse coach because I played in high school and college.
Awesome. I did not know that. Well, I hope that folks have their questions ready. Just a reminder about how to share those. There's a Q&A feature. So we'll be looking there to take questions and answer them live. We also have a couple of questions that we'll probably start with from what we've seen people submit when each of you all registered. But please start to use the Q&A feature. And we'll keep checking there and go through those questions to make sure we're getting you real-time answers to your interests. But I want to kick us off, maybe digging a little deeper into a typical day, a day in the life. A lot of folks had questions about this. What is it really like? Each of you gave a short description of what it is that you do, but can you talk about a day in the life, a typical day in your part of the business, and kind of what's the biggest thing you're working on right now that you're able to, of course, talk about? Whoever wants to jump in first, go for it.
I guess I'm off mute, so I'll start.
Go ahead.
The biggest thing we're working on right now is trying to transform how we do manufacturing for biologics and make it continuous. So right now everything is batch, done in a batch, and we want to make it continuous and make it cheaper. I was just talking to someone today about antibiotics and how they're becoming less and less effective. And we have the ability to make antibodies to a lot of pathogens, but they're very expensive. So we want to make them so cheap that they can be, they'll never be as cheap as an antibiotic, but they're going to be cheap enough that I think that we'd like to be able to sell them not only in the United States, but in the whole world for relatively common diseases, Staph aureus, C. diff, things like that. Those are actually in the works right now. So I hope this works. I really want to make this as inexpensive as possible.
Thanks, John.
I'm
Go
happy
ahead,
to go
Femi.
next. Absolutely. So a typical day in my life. I guess the first thing I'll say is at the operational end, so running a site that's manufacturing some of our products. First things first are, it's important that we do it safely. It's something that we make sure that we also have to make sure that we're always also manufacturing our products to the utmost of best quality, So we always have to have quality products, making sure that we are on top of our supply and also our costs. And then finally, it's about making sure that we have the right people and talent. So that's on the operational end. Now, a typical day for me really does involve it's multifaceted. I think that's a word that someone put out there because every day is different. I feel like I'm juggling 100 things every day. And so, for example, today, the big things on my plate have been around how can I attract some new products to my site. So as AZ continues to develop new products, there's siting decisions that need to happen. So I'm trying to get in there early to make sure that these new products can come to my site. I'm also trying to make sure that the people at my site are being developed. So as a leader, one of my key jobs is to create or develop more leaders. So that's something that I invest a lot of my time into. And then finally, of course, running a site, making a product, the one key thing that I try to make sure that we do every day is we make or we operate in an efficient way as possible. Because at the end of the day, the cost of goods, the cost of our products, we try to influence that as much as we can to make it as low as possible, because we know that there's some people out there that are probably paying out of pocket for our drugs. So we try to be as efficient as we can on our cost of goods, so we can be not just competitive, but we can also save more lives. And that's it for me.
No, thanks, Femi. I know how important the cost of goods are. In my current role, I look at tracking that across all the global sites for my programs to bring that down each year. Anybody else want to share?
I can jump in if Imani, if she'd like to go first, she can.
I can go first.
Awesome.
Right now, I've been trying to get buy-in for 2 of my ideas on the plant floor. So it's been a lot of talking to quality. They say something, I pull in more information, we do another meeting, and they say 3 more things. So that's been a lot of that. And then after that meeting, probably add that into the report. So that's been most of my days at the moment.
Imani, can I make a comment on that? I'm an engineer, a nerd right from the get-go, if you ever knew me. I have realized that, presenting data to people isn't isn't always going to like convince them the right thing to do. Maybe the most important thing for engineers to recognize is psychology is so important. People are people no matter where you go, and you have to understand them in a way that allows you to help them understand what you're doing. And I just can't tell you how important it is to understand people in this job. Great that we can do engineering, but if we can't explain it to people and have people adopt it, it doesn't work. And I've done that many, many times. Invented great things, and people are like, I'm not interested. So that, Imani, getting those people engaged and the quality people is really a difficult job. I'm glad you're doing it right now.
I see a couple of questions coming up in the chat. Some specific questions too. So we've talked a little bit about what we do. There's kind of a question about, hey, if I'm a mechanical engineering major, is there a space for me? Backgrounds in med device, chemical manufacturing, right? Is there a space for mechies in the drug development process specifically? What do those roles look like?
Maybe I
So,
could
I
chime in
mean, the
here.
short answer is yes, but go ahead, Larry. Yeah.
Okay, sure, yeah. So I would say yes, there's plenty of opportunity for Mekis in this space. Currently, we are retrofitting a site heavily on the mechanical side. So we're changing, like John said earlier, how we do business and how we create drugs. So that's requiring us to go to smaller footprints and retrofit our current facilities to produce the new wave of medicines coming through the next generation manufacturing platform. So I would definitely say yes. I think my team consists of just about every engineer that's mentioned, except for the civil. So yes, I would say definitely, there's plenty of room.
Sweet. Yeah, I'll build on that a little bit because there are opportunities across the continuum for mechanical engineers and really all engineers. If you move a little upstream in drug development, John mentioned this a little bit in a space that we call combination products. So developing things like auto injectors and pre-filled syringes. There's a lot of mechanical mechanisms in those devices and even future devices that we're looking to develop to better administer drugs, specifically medicines that have a really high dose or high concentration. Mechanical engineers and biomedical engineers who have a mechanical aptitude are definitely working on those things for us. Okay, take another question that was submitted online through registration. This one is about values, and it resonated with me because we have the AZ values, but I want to expand on the question a little bit. It was submitted as, what does AstraZeneca value the most? So you can answer that kind of from your lens and experience. What do you feel AstraZeneca values most? But also, can you share maybe of the AstraZeneca values, which one kind of resonates with you the most as you also talk about what you feel the company values? Okay. Yeah, I know for me, I'll maybe start while you guys reflect. Um, for me, it's one of our AZ values is we play to win. And I, as kind of how I'm wired, have a competitive spirit. And so that kind of always resonates with me. And I really see it in the company though, right? You talk about the bold ambitions we mentioned earlier. And anyone who's followed us or starts to follow us can see some of our really kind of company performance. Over the last 2 years, we've really been the market leader in growth. And that comes from launching new products and medicines. And so to have, right, kind of 40% growth over 2 years and to try and keep that, I mean, it's really an example of playing the win. Like we're the number one growth company in the industry. And so that's great.
Yeah, when I
John?
joined in 2019, they were making about $18 billion, maybe 17 billion. It wasn't much, and the ambition was to make like 43 billion by 2025. I thought that there's no way we can this company. I was going to join anyway, but I thought that was crazy. And I talked to people and like, no, they're really serious. This is really going to happen, and it really happened. We already did it. So it's not even 25 yet, and we did it. I'm just amazed at this company that really, really good leadership, smart moves. In HER2 that I mentioned before was an in-licensed product. We didn't make it. We partnered with a Daiichi. It was a smart decision. They spent $4 billion on a bet. It looked like a bet to me. I thought that was a crazy amount, and it worked. It's brilliant. So these guys are really good. The leaders of this company are very, very good, and we're very, very patient focused. We were not going to sell our vaccine for profit while the pandemic was occurring. And I asked the head of R&D if he would do that again, because Pfizer came out and said they made $34 billion on their vaccine. I said, look, we didn't make $34 billion on a vaccine. Do you wish that we had done it differently, that we had sold it for profit? He said, absolutely not. I'll just be honest. Pfizer did the wrong thing. That's what he said. And we did the right thing. And I said, okay, that's great. Now, I don't believe Pfizer did the wrong thing, but I definitely do believe that we did the right thing. And I'm very proud of that. So
Yeah.
It's a really good company.
Absolutely, and I'll just jump on that. So, I have an affinity for all the AstraZeneca values, but the one that I have the most for is the fact that we put patients first as well. Just for that reason, John, in terms of how we handled ourselves during the pandemic, but also, I find that, at the end of the day, there's a patient at the end of every one of our supply chains, and that could be a family member of mine, it could be my brother, my sister, my mother. For me, I'm really motivated every day just knowing that I can make a difference in someone's lives. So for me, that's the value that I probably will put up there above the others. But they're all great values.
Mm-hmm.
And if I could just chime in on just the value around entrepreneurial spirit, right? I think that's really, really key. And I heard John touch on it a little bit earlier, but how I look at it is this company is so large and there's so many divisions and different organizations within one company and one building that the cross-functional collaboration is at its best and it is high, and you need to be able to cross-functionally work with other teams to effectively, get these products to market. So that part really resonates with me, as I am the person who sort of leads some of those efforts with meeting new people in other organizations and bringing them all together. So great company.
So I'm seeing a couple of questions come in the Q&A, so thank everybody for posting those there. There are actually a couple of questions related to kind of digital and data analytics, both in the drug discovery space, but also at a cellular level, right, and understanding cell-to-cell communication, cellular mechanisms, but then also kind of at the operations level in production facilities. So kind of, what are we doing to innovate in that space? What kind of technologies or approaches are we incorporating to both improve operations as well as kind of the drug discovery process?
I can kick off, and then maybe John or Larry can talk about the drug discovery side. In terms of operations, and it's a great question in terms of digital, because it really is going to be very much embedded in our futures. So the types of things that we're looking at in operations are around how can we predict our processes better. So for example, we do a lot of process monitoring, and the robustness of a process is empirical, because if you have a stable process that has little to no variability, then you can get a consistent outcome every time. So we're putting a lot of effort into something that we call advanced CPV. So that's monitoring of our processes across each of our unit operations. We're looking into smart metering. So how can we better predict, based on how our equipment is running, how much of our utilities we utilize, how much electricity goes into a process, how much water we use in a process, things like that. We're also looking at something that I call, it's called biometric authentication. So if you're an operator, actually either, manufacturing one of our products, what you find is that, in pharmaceutical industry, we have something called good manufacturing practices. So with that comes a lot of verification of each step. And what we try to do now is rather than an operator having to log in every 5 minutes to type in their password, then write what they've done, then log out, we're looking for ways to have maybe some kind of maybe a band or some. Maybe they can use their, maybe there's a retina scan or something like that, so that we can actually make the operators' jobs a lot easier. So these are just a few of the things that we're doing in terms of digital and innovation in that space. But I'll pause there, maybe let the others chime in as well.
No, I mean, I think that was a pretty robust example and some very practical examples of what we're doing in production. There are a couple of questions coming in too from an early career lens and thinking about, okay, what are the opportunities for internships, and then what are the opportunities to join in some of our early career programs. And so I wanted to, ask the team, if you've had interns, what type of projects they've worked on, but then also, right, from an early career perspective, we have a number of rotational programs in R&D, in biopharma R&D. We have a tech rotational program. We also have an operations rotational program, and Amani, right, is currently in that program. And so we'd also love for you, Amani, to kind of talk about how that program's structured and, what's the experience like through, first learning about it to now, right, being in it.
Like Arthur said, I'm in the operations rotational program. It starts in September, and then you rotate 3 times for 8-month rotations, and then you do 1 year consolation role, and then you could continue that consolation role into a full-time role. But honestly, I would greatly recommend this program. Also, we have 3 open spaces for this upcoming September. I would greatly recommend this program because honestly, I've learned so much, and I do appreciate how all the managers that are picked for this program really want their graduates to learn. Like, even some days I don't have to technically work on my job. I can just take that as like a career development day, talk to whoever I want to talk to. Anyone will make the time to talk to me, even people that are very busy, like Femi. I just kind of walk into his office and he's willing just to speak to me, but I wouldn't get that experience if I was just a standard process engineer, because I'd have to be on the floor. So, and we also have different classes that we can do. There's just so many opportunities for global graduates. I would highly recommend the program. Everyone has been extremely nice to me, and I don't have any complaints, honestly. I'm about to go into my 2nd rotation now. You get to pick whichever department you want. I've switched departments completely, and that's not a problem at all. Everyone's very open to that, and you can talk to so many different people to determine what kind of role you want. And then there's usually about 150 roles that you can choose, so there's plenty of options.
Don't forget, you can also have an international option as well. So you can
Can
do roles. You can do roles in any one of our other 30 sites around the world.
I forgot that part too. In your
That's
3rd
pretty cool.
rotation, that's an option.
Wow.
But not for all the rotational programs, I don't think. Definitely for operations. I'm not sure for some of the bio ones.
Ours don't have that option. Yep.
And Arthur, if I may add a little bit about the internship, I know that was one
Perfect.
of the
Yeah.
So within our group, literally every summer, we're bringing in interns to help out with some of these big projects that we work on, during portions of the summer, and also during winter break. We also bring people back. So there's plenty of opportunity for internships, and we literally now we're recruiting for that process for the summertime. What I would say is that the interns that I've had on my team, 3 of them have come back for jobs and been hired within the company. So there's an opportunity for people who may not know about the industry itself or what we do in bioprocessing, that intrigues them when they come in, and then they, sort of, have a relationship with what, how we develop this passion for patients, and developing these drugs, and then find interest in the industry itself. So it's a good opportunity. I would say coming in as an intern, the key from my experience is developing the soft skills, all the soft skills, whether it's communication, adaptability, and a little bit of time management. Those things are what the interns are utilized for heavily when they come onto these teams in the summer.
Maybe another question from folks who submitted online in advance. There's a question about kind of development and career journey and what are the opportunities for growth and development. And so want to kind of ask the team, either for an experience you've had, right, in your career, right, that was a positive development experience, or, right, if you're a leader, how you've developed somebody on your team.
Yep. So I like to take off my boss hat and put on my mentor hat for everyone in my team, and then also people outside of my team. And what I like to do is get to know what they want to do in the future. And I never had a 5-year plan. I don't think they have 5-year plans, but they have a bent or a knack or something that they like. So some people like computers and modeling. Okay, that's one thing. Some people like kind of the project management side. Some people like entrepreneurship. Some people like the science and being at the lab bench. Some people like other people. So I like to try to find out what those people are bending towards and what type of career they want to have. And maybe even pointing to someone, I want to be like Dan. I want to be like Susan. And then create opportunities for them to do that. I used to assign roles based on who was ever least busy, maybe. And then I realized, I really need to do this strategically. If someone has a desire to be doing more modeling and I have a modeling job, I would consider them to do it, even if they might be busy. Maybe I'll take them off as something else. So that's how I do it. I'm learning how to be a better developer of people by listening and then trying to find opportunities that align, obviously, with AstraZeneca and also with that person's career goals. It's great to get paid for what you love doing. And we at AstraZeneca and a lot of other companies as well in pharmaceuticals and biotech, especially engineers, we actually get paid for what we love doing. So you can consider that. How do I get paid for what I love doing?
The questions that have come in. There are kind of some questions related to multiple majors, disciplines, backgrounds. It looks like we have some folks on the call who have kind of industrial engineering backgrounds, systems engineering, and are interested in continuous improvement, quality systems. We have some individuals who have maybe more of a public health background, and are trying to figure out, right, how do you find your fit in the pharma space? Do you think about R&D? Do you think about regulatory affairs, medical affairs, all the affairs teams that we have? Can you kind of talk about, opportunities and placements and how to maybe find your space based off of your background, based off, right, all the vast opportunities we have? And then maybe I'll kind of jump in with a couple of things that came to mind to me. I mean, the short answer is yes, right? We have backgrounds for all of these disciplines, and just appreciate, right, as a company, R&D is at our core, right? We have to develop new medicines. So you need all the scientists and all the engineers, right, to make a medicine. But we have every business function, right, to manage that process. So we have marketing teams, we have sales teams, we have finance and accounting teams. right? And then we have teams that only focus on like external affairs and government relations and working with nonprofits and working in international affairs. So anything that you can think about, right, in developing, marketing, and managing a medicine, it takes every background. So that's kind of my just general answer, that there's a place for every discipline in AstraZeneca, but of course a number of technical positions. But if you are interested in the quality space, we have a huge quality organization, and it's very easy to find those opportunities. And there are a lot of questions. I'm just trying to scroll through here. Our thoughts on the industry questions, and maybe about I'll just kind of read what the question is and elaborate. So, does AZ believe there are current privacy concerns or issues that need to be addressed in the biotech or pharma industry? Like, kind of what are the kind of big questions that keep us up at night? I think about a couple of things that come in the news. We're always hearing, unfortunately, sometimes of, companies that get attacked by cybersecurity threats, right? Or, when we're conducting, our trials or working with healthcare providers, right? The importance of keeping patient and personal information, right? Um, managed appropriately. Are there things that come to mind, kind of big ethical decisions in any of the work that you've come across?
So Arthur, I'll just maybe make a comment on
Yeah.
that, because one of the things that we have in AZ is every employee signs up to what I call it's the code of conduct, and we also have other similar sort of I'll call it trainings like that go out to everybody, especially along the lines of privacy and how we handle information. And I think, I think it's a very topical topic for not just our industry, but for others as well. Because I know that in Europe there's something called it's the GDPR. So it's now enshrined in law in Europe around what companies can do with personal information, and it wouldn't surprise me if the US is heading that way as well. But all I wanted to call out was the fact that we have very ethical ways in which we work and how we're trained to think. So I don't think that or I don't find myself having to make big decisions, because I'm already guided by our policies on quite a lot of things.
Yeah. I mean, it's what Femi is talking about, kind of is ingrained in something we call, right, standard work and trainings that we receive. It seems like every quarter, at least, we're getting, right, a new training or retraining on exactly what Femi described, right, our code of conduct and how to conduct our business with the utmost transparency. So we might have time for just one or two more questions before we share a couple of announcements. It looks like we're also simultaneously answering a number of the questions offline. So maybe I'll ask, one of the questions in terms of, it's also going back to this, is kind of a talent question, and what do we look for somebody to be a great addition to AstraZeneca, right? The qualities, the skills, the background, whether that's somebody who's looking for an internship, which might be a specific, right, type of skills, versus somebody who's, right, more experienced and might be trying to transition into our company or the industry from another industry, when you think about recruiting and hiring, what are some of the qualities you look for in a candidate?
Maybe I could start off here, Arthur, and just, sort of, I think the things that we, really, I feel look for and would like to bring on teams are people who are problem solvers, people who can communicate well, the people who have the knack for adapting to, changes, and those with leadership skills. I think those are the first things that sort of jump out at me as people that you look for and how you decide to bring them onto your teams.
That's a very complete answer, Larry. I couldn't have said it better myself. I think for me, it was the second to last thing you said around that ability to change. For me, there's something around learning, the ability to have what I call learning agility, meaning can you constantly keep learning? Can you keep yourself ahead of the pack? That's something that I'll be looking for in people.
Okay, I'm going to close us out with a little bit of what I call rapid fire questions. And so it's just your quick gut response answer. I'm gonna start with John. What was your favorite cereal as a kid?
It would have been Captain Crunch if my mom let me have it.
Okay. And Femi, what is your favorite season?
Definitely the summer.
Okay. Amani, what is a book or something good that you're reading right now?
Aragon. I read it every year, at least once.
Okay.
Okay. Larry, what's your favorite hobby that might surprise people?
Wow, it's scuba diving. It is.
Yeah, that is
It's
still,
the
Okay.
top one.
Yep.
Okay.
It's a
Still
really
that one.
expensive
Cool.
one, but it's the
Yeah,
top
yep.
one.
John, what is your favorite color and is it in your wardrobe?
So I'm slightly colorblind and I can't see purple well, but when I see purple, I really like it. So
Okay.
a really purple with a lot of red in it, and I can see. Yep, that's my favorite.
Femi, what's a vegetable that you hate?
Oh, that's a good question. I have to say asparagus.
Oh my gosh, how's that
What?
possible?
I love asparagus.
That's crazy.
Amani, if you had a superpower, what would it be?
I want to be a Magneto, so I picked that.
Ah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I like that. And a big one to close us out, Larry, for you. If you had a magic wand and could build a university to share knowledge and wisdom, what's the title of a course that you would teach there?
Wow, that's really good.
That's a good one.
Ooh, emotional awareness and
Oh,
emotional management.
that's a great one.
Okay.
That's something I would
Yeah.
teach. I would love to see teach and take as well. Yeah,
Wow.
that's good.
Yeah,
That's good,
I would sign
especially
up
for
for that.
engineers. Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Sign me up.
No, I want to thank you guys and thank everybody for your questions. There's still a number of questions we couldn't get to specifically in the time, but we may be able to cover in the networking period. But we can definitely take them offline and get them out to you via email. So don't worry, we have all of them captured. And to close us out too with this part of the program, we have a few announcements where you can learn about how you can engage with us at NSBE 49. So I want to invite Emily to come forward. I see she's coming on camera and she will take us through the NSBE engagements at convention. Feel free to take it away, Emily.
Excellent. I am taking over. You guys did great. Great questions, super engaging. So thank you guys so much. So I just want to talk to you just for a moment. I'll talk just a little bit about myself. I am also at the Mount Vernon site in Indiana. I have only been there for 3 months, so much shorter than everyone else, but it has been a fabulous 3 months. I think it was John that said it was this has been the best place that he has ever worked. A very good friend of mine. So I was a referral, and a very good friend of mine referred me, and said the exact same thing, said this was the best company she's ever worked for. So I had to come find out what it was all about. So excited to join the team. So I am an HR business partner, and what that means is I provide HR strategic support and advice for our business leaders. I get to partner with our leaders and help deliver those people plans to help really contribute to the development and the function of the business. So I have loved every moment of it, and I hope to be there for a very long time. I come from I've been in HR for many, many years, supporting manufacturing and consumer goods. So my happy place, I'm born and raised, lived here in Indiana. We have a pool. So summer night by the pool, or bonfire, with my littles and my husband, and that's my happy place. And then one thing you might not know about me, I love musicals. I love plays. I love seeing them live. I just got to go see Six. If you haven't heard of it, it is fabulous. So I got to go see that in Nashville here recently. So love a good musical play. I'm a theater nerd, so I love it. So fun fact about me, but some things that I'd like everybody to leave with. Hopefully you're going to come join us in Kansas City at NSBE 49. So I look forward to connecting with you through there and joining us there in Kansas City. You have already met some of our team here that's going to be joining us. We're going to have almost 30 AstraZeneca employees from across the U.S. joining us in Kansas City, hopefully learning about innovations where we're leading and what it's like to work at AstraZeneca. So some things that you can expect. Obviously, we're here on the webinar that Thursday and Friday. We are going to have our career fair, and we're going to have a booth. It's booth 2000, I believe, is what I heard this morning. So please come visit us at our booth. Super easy to remember, 2000. So there are over 170 openings. I think Michael's going to talk a little bit about how you can join us. So please come talk to us at our booth. Friday morning, we're going to be hosting a breakfast. So you can join us for a thought leadership discussion with our SVP, Global Supply Chain and Strategy, Linzel Harris. He will talk about our smart factories and use of digital technologies and AZ's impact on the industry. So that should be really good. We have 2 workshops that are going to have great speakers at Engineering for Patient Impact, learning more in depth in the roles that engineering's playing in pharma. The audience for this is going to be undergrad, graduate students, and professionals. And then Molecules to Medicines, it's a hands-on workshop for pre-college students, going to be great as well. We're also hosting a mixer, so you can see the entire AZ team and fellow NSBE members that are, if you're interested in healthcare. Don't worry if you haven't caught it all here. We're going to share all these details in an email afterwards, so you'll have everything. I do think I have one more slide here. So see, these are some of our speakers that you're going to see. Like I mentioned, Linzel, Dan Haney, he's in Mount Vernon as well, Erica Woolridge, Femi, Imani, our Mount Vernon group, Kadeen, and then Lawan and Ryan. So we're going to have some great speakers. So hopefully you guys can come out to Kansas City and come meet everyone on the team. Again, booth 2000. But I'm going to turn it over to Michael to share a little bit about how you can join the AZ family and help us continue to transform the group. So nice speaking with everybody. Hi, Michael.
Thank you, Emily. I appreciate that intro. And yes, there was some great information shared, and I'm just going to take control here and go to the next slide. So a little bit about me. I've been with AstraZeneca for 2 years now. I've kind of had a weird journey of how to get there, but I'll save that for another day. But currently, I am a talent acquisition partner. I support operations. Like I mentioned here, it's just basically just my job just to place people that are top tier and make sure they're in the place to be successful as well. I look at it as a marriage. So not only are we wanting to find people that will further our mission, but we want to make sure that this is a place that you, being the candidates, are being placed in a role that'll make you successful at the same time. I support operations, like I mentioned. Within that umbrella of operations, a lot of different engineering roles, device engineers, automation engineers, quality, cell and gene. I know John mentioned that earlier. Those are kind of some of the umbrellas that I kind of recruit for. My happy place is a basketball court, anything basketball related. I played high school, college, little overseas, but anything basketball related. I'm gearing up for March Madness. I'm a huge March Madness UCLA fan, born and raised in California. So that's my thing there. One thing that people don't know about me is that because of my basketball playing career, I was able to work for the LA Clippers in their community relations department. One of the funnest jobs, I think, aside from the job I have now at AstraZeneca, that I've ever had, just kind of being around it and learning all the ins and outs. And of course, there's a lot of perks with that. So it was a lot of fun. So as many people know, a lot of the different industries, they have an I&D strategy. Here at AstraZeneca, we really just have 3 priority areas. Inclusion, and I'll touch more based upon inclusion, but inclusion basically cultivate inclusion and belonging. We want someone to feel wanted. We want someone to know that their opinion matters, that they feel at home and that they can speak up. So having that speak up culture, having that ability to share your own thoughts, add value, that's something that we really, really value. Diversity. As a TAC partner in my role, it's my job to kind of make sure that we are pushing that diverse goal. So whether it's making sure departments are diverse when it comes to interviewing individuals, making sure that the candidates that we're presenting to the hiring managers are diverse in nature. So that's something that we really, really have been keen on, and we really strive to grow as the years kind of go on. And with that is our impact. So we want to advance the societal change. So as we are making this impact, we are going out like we are now, and you'll see us in Kansas City. We want people to see what AstraZeneca is. So it's not, you'll notice in a lot of our different advertising, photos and videos, those are real people. So the people that you see on those things are real people. And so that's kind of what we want others to see. Like I mentioned, I&D, we put inclusion before diversity. Like I mentioned, we really want someone to feel like they add value, that they are really feel inclusive, and that they are being able to speak up and add input to whatever it is. It sounds cliche. There's no wrong answer. There's no stupid question. There really isn't. We're there to work together for a common goal, and that's to create medicines to save lives. And so with that comes all different types of thoughts, different types of perspectives, creative ones, silly ones, whatever it might be. We're open to it. And so that's what really makes AstraZeneca a really unique place. And with that, as we're building that community, we want to recognize some of the members. There's about 25 individuals here who are actually connected to NSBE. And so as we are continuing to build our brand with NSBE and with the community, we want to see this number grow. And so we're hopeful that as you possibly join AstraZeneca, this number will grow. exponentially, and we can keep that going. Lastly, we want to connect with you. As Emily mentioned, this is a great opportunity for us not only to meet in Kansas City, but we want to stay connected whether or not there are positions for you now and the future. And so obviously there's our career at AstraZeneca.com website. I'm sure that'll be posted in the chat soon here, but that's a website that you can go to automatically look at all of our postings that we have available. Currently on the NSBE site, we have over 170 jobs that we are highlighting, which is pretty phenomenal. And the easiest way to kind of do this, there is a QR code right there where you can kind of tap into our talent network. And what that'll do is that'll basically put you in touch with us, and it'll alert you once there are positions available that you're interested in. And so it's a nice way to get updates on things that are going on, and for us to say, hey, I remember that person, and kind of tap that database and find out if there's a position that fits what you're looking for.
No, thank you, Michael, for that overview. And we've dropped some of those links in the chat. So please do join the Talent Network. If you see a position, you can apply directly and also let us know you applied by completing the short survey for the Talent Network. But then even if you don't see a position right now, kind of as mentioned, there are always opportunities in the future, and we can connect you to the right parts of the company. And now I'll just transition to Dolu.
Thank you, Arthur. Thank you to the AstraZeneca team. This was just phenomenal. Like, I learned so much. I'm happy that it was recorded so I can go back and rewatch this. And we're almost at time here. I'd hope that we would have enough time to get 15 minutes in for just to network. And I still want us to do that and give everyone that's on this call a chance to come off camera, come off mute, fix yourself up before you do, please. And just, get a chance to speak with the AstraZeneca team. I can't, promise how much of their time they'll be able to share with us. But, there are 8 team members on this call, and we'll have 8 breakout rooms. So everyone can kind of go in there, and I'll do that soon. But before I go into the networking, because I know some people may drop off from the networking, I do want to go over what we're going to be doing at the convention. So you've heard a lot, about the 5 different events that are happening at convention. We are partnered with AstraZeneca to bring you the networking mixer. That's going to be on March 24th from 6 to 8 p.m. Central. And Pauline has kindly dropped a link to that in the chat. And also, we'd like to connect with you at our town hall the day before on a Thursday. That's going to be from 12 to 2. So the registration is going out or has gone out. So please do find time to register and connect with us at convention when you're going to be there. And just, continue to have the conversation, with AstraZeneca, learn more about AstraZeneca, what the team is doing. You've kind of gotten some of the inside scoop. Plenty of your questions have been answered, and I'm sure you have a lot more. So with that, I will now transition us into the networking piece. And thank you so much for everyone for coming out, and I look forward to connecting with you. Hopefully you guys found that networking session to be very, impactful and learned a little bit more from the AstraZeneca team. So I know we are well over the time that we had budgeted for this evening.
That's okay. You're paying me by the hour.
You're not salary, John?
Double time. You're getting double time right now. You have no idea.
We'll put it on author's tab.
There we go.
Got it.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, but thank you so much, everyone. I have nothing more to add, but want to open the floor for John or John Thomas, that is, if you want to add anything else to some parting words for the team.
Yeah, thanks, Dolu, for the opportunity. Thoroughly enjoyed the presentation its standard of excellence and the kindness and generosity of the AstraZeneca team and Brother Arthur to share both their engineering backgrounds and how they support and make contributions functionally to what's the most important within healthcare, which is delivering breakthrough outcomes for patients. And on behalf of the National Society of Black Engineers and the NSBE professionals, we are indebted and look forward to meeting you in person in 2 weeks in Kansas. So looking forward to it. Over to you, Dolu.
Yeah. So once again, make sure you do register, by being on in part of this meeting. We are giving you priority, to take part in the mixer, right? Because it is limited registration. So please do make sure that you register early, and also check out all the other events that AstraZeneca is having at the convention. So you've gotten the inside scoop, and I want you to all to like run with it and connect with folks on LinkedIn, and make the best of the time that you've put in this evening. And once again, just thank you to the AstraZeneca team just for your time as well, and for going the extra mile in connecting with our members. It's just been wonderful working with you and having this webinar. So it's going to be recorded. It's going to be shared on our YouTube page. And so you guys can go back and watch, all the things that's been shared with you tonight.
I'm
so
in trouble
thank
now.
you.
Thanks, everybody.
We'll edit the parts that you don't like, John. Just let me know.
Oh, yeah. Thanks a lot. That was really nice. And the breakout session was a good idea. That was really fun.
Happy
Yeah.
you enjoyed it.
Thanks a lot.
All right.
Yeah. All
Thanks,
right.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Mhm.